Now, as many as 57,000 teenage girls became pregnant in Ghana in the first half of this year alone. That's according to the International Family Planning NGO Marie Stopes. At Alajo in Accra, the trend is becoming very worrying for parents and community leaders. There are reports girls between the ages of 12 and 17 get pregnant before they complete their basic education, forcing them to drop out of school. Now, my colleague Ama Krampa visited the area to find out more in our report.
This is Alajo, a community in the Accra metropolis. Most of the residents here are mainly traders. Poverty level seems to be high, and so is the number of teenage girls who are pregnant. Many of them are single mothers who engage in menial jobs in order to take care of their children. Meet Faustina, a mother of 3. According to her, she even used to frighten her daughter with the supposed myth that girls from their village die as a result of having premarital sex. Did that work on little Belinda?
I was totally relaxed because I believed my threats had left fear in the mind of my 15-year-old daughter and that she was still a virgin. We were shocked to find out that Belinda was pregnant. After 3 months of persuasion, she finally disclosed the man responsible. But just around that time, I was also 4 months pregnant.
14-year-old Grace is a school dropout. Her 25-year-old boyfriend has denied responsibilities of her pregnancy. She tells us how she struggled to take care of herself and the unborn baby. She regrets her actions but has to live with the consequences.
My boyfriend and I have been dating for a while. When I found out I was pregnant, he instantly denied responsibility, saying that he already has a child and that he's not ready to father my child. I will advise my fellow young girls to be patient and focus on their education so they don't end up in my situation.
Residents here are worried about this trend, but the willpower to stop or prevent the incidence of teenage pregnancies is absent.
I've almost seen like 20 girls pregnant. Once met a girl, and I think she's at the age of 12, 13 years, who was pregnant.
Some of these girls are abused by the men, while some voluntarily engage in relationships. Peer pressure and poor parental care are some of the major causes.
The young men and women here don't sleep at all. This junction is their place of convergence, where they while away time deep into the night, amidst fighting over who took whose boyfriend. We are indeed overwhelmed with the high rate of teenage pregnancy in this area and hope something could be done about it.
Dr. Frederick McPalm is the medical director of Citadel Hospital here at Alajo. He is appalled by the high rate of abortions among the teenagers in this vicinity.
Started practicing here over the past 5 years, since 2012. I've seen quite a few the first couple of years that I was here. I started practicing here. Rate-wise, we will not put any rate on it, but we saw it very, very rapidly. The frequency was very high, and then I saw them coming in. I believe that the one thing that scared teenagers off from my facility then was that I made them aware that I did not do abortions. Most of them would come in and say, hey, we have headaches, we have this, and then you investigate and do some laboratory works and you realize that they are pregnant. Some don't even know who impregnated. The few who knew who impregnated would tell you boyfriends say they wouldn't be able to cater for pregnancy, so it becomes a burden on the family. Some again would, on a few occasions, I realized that I had to even just talk to them, counsel them to keep pregnancies, and then I ended up becoming the the caretaker of the pregnancies until they were born. I saw about 3 or 4 cases like that. And my ultimate advice is that, yes, we have to educate them. We have to advise them as to know when their ovulatory periods are, and to know the implications of having sex during ovulatory periods, okay? I think if we combine all these things together with these other educative ideas that we are talking about, will go a long way in curbing some of these teenage pregnancies that are really unnecessary.
The people of Alajo may have to deal with more fatherless babies and associated rising poverty levels until stakeholders, including parents, teachers, and authorities, take measures to curb the social vice. Ama Krampa reporting for JoyNews.
Well, women advocates in the country have identified entrenched traditional and institutional values as a major hindrance to the passage of affirmative action bill. The International Federation of Women Lawyers and the ACT Foundation say the absence of the affirmative law causes discrimination against women and girls under customary law and practice. Now, the situation, according to them, places limitations on women aspiring leadership positions.
The bill, which seeks to rectify discrimination against women, has received cabinet assent, but yet to be passed into law. It seeks a 40% participation of women in governance, public positions of power, and decision-making. Ghana has in many ways led the way with pioneering legislations and politics. However, laws that often impact on women and improve gender equality is often resisted by lawmakers. A clear case is the recommendation by Parliament's Legal and Constitutional Committee to expunge from our laws property rights of spouses bill because it was against Ghanaian culture. President of FIDA Ghana, Efua Adoti, says the affirmative action bill is facing similar challenges.
It will be naive to assume that there are no entrenched cultural, traditional, and institutional values that resist advocacy for the passage of an affirmative action law. FIDA Ghana and FES believe that the affirmative action bill is a must-be-achieved legislation, which cannot be birthed without the distinct role of the members of the Gender and Children Committee, the Legal and Constitutional Committee, as well as any other committee represented here today. Now let's look at the current state of Ghanaian women and girls. In the broader context of societal transformation, opportunities for women and girls are often limited. Women and girls are still discriminated under customary law and practice, making their access and continuation in leadership positions a challenging ambition. A classic example is the current defilement case of the Asem Fosu issue we all know about, where the chief of a community preferred to protect a male sexual offender than the life of a little girl.
Dr. Angela Dwamena Abuaji, Executive Director of ACT Foundation, disclosed to journalists affirmative action advocacy would have to come to a stop after evaluation shows the objective has been achieved.
Affirmative action is actually a temporary measure. If you look at the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, which Ghana has signed, among other treaties, you find that affirmative action is supposed to be such that you monitor it, you evaluate it, and when you see that a balance is now happening, then you taper it off. You actually stop when you see that there's a balance as between, let's say, men and women in different spaces of the public sphere. Okay, so it's not supposed to go on forever. And I cited an example of some countries in the Caribbean area where, you know, there was affirmative action for girls, especially in girls' education. The girls really took advantage. People sent their girls to school, and now there are several educated girls in those countries. much more than the men. But when the government realized that more of the boys were falling out of school or deciding to go into trading and business and so on, they instituted affirmative action for boys in the educational sphere. And they got boys back going to school and so on. And so that's an important part of the process of affirmative action that we should understand.
She urged the Gender Ministry to speed up processes at ensuring the bill is put before Parliament for approval. Kofi Sian reporting for JoyNews.
Okay, so now it came as a big blow to government when IT experts revealed the software hosting Ghana's Hype digital address system was defective and open to abuse. You know why? We'll get to know more after this break.